Hey, good to see you guys today. Listen, even in the attempt of making this video, so many things have not gone as planned. And so here's what I want to give you as a growth group leader, a few discussion questions or a few things to talk about that can maybe spur on some great conversation. And here's what I want to encourage you to do. If you're watching this, you are a person who leads conversations with others. And in a time when we're not allowed to be in large gatherings of people, you making a personal call or making time to FaceTime somebody or even sending a voice memo is going to be the kind of peace delivery mechanism that somebody's going to need. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to lean into the challenge the same way that we're leaning into this challenge. And think through and ask God to reveal to you who it is that you could send a particular message to, who you could pray for, or maybe who you could just engage in a conversation with that could lead somebody back to Jesus. So if you were with us this last Sunday, we talked about what it looked like to be the church, not just people who go to church, but what it looks like to actually be the church in motion. And as we come together midweek, here's what I want to ask you to facilitate with some other folks with me as I'm doing the same thing with some of my own friends. So the first one was that we would be people who would be faithful in prayer. And what that looks like is understanding first and foremost that God tells us that when we present our prayers to Him, that He exchanges those worries for peace that surpasses all understanding, that He calms our hearts and He calms our minds. And so first of all, you can experience true peace just by engaging in prayer with God. That's my first, I would say do that first before you do anything, is enter into a place where you can have some quiet and you can pray with God. The second thing I want you to do is I want you to encourage some people to pray for some specific things. Obviously, we know we can be praying for wisdom and discernment for all the people who are working on helping us get back to a life of normalcy. Let's add their families, their own stresses, their provisions to our prayer lists. Also, you can be praying for people who are sick. Right? We can pray that God's miraculous work, that His presence would be with people. You can be praying for wisdom in how to best navigate this season of life with so many things upside down, right? Your kids aren't in school. Likely you're working from home now, and you need wisdom how to navigate that well, how to manage your relationships in a godly way, the same way I do. So this is what we've been praying for. This is what I've been praying for. Lord, show me what it looks like to love my family well. Show me what it looks like to serve my wife. Show me what it looks like to have your patience and your peace. Those are great things that you can pray for. And you can remind people when they just don't feel like they have a lot of faith, that even their posture submitting towards God, the Bible tells us that the Spirit meets our hearts with groanings that we don't understand, but that God does. And maybe if you don't have what it takes to put together, let's say, a prayer that you think would be good, sometimes just saying, Lord, I don't have the words, but I know that you have the answer, can be all you need to experience peace. So I want you to talk about that first. That would be people who are faithful in prayer. The next one is that we'd be people who are faithful in service. It's been really cool to see on our Facebook page, Torrey Pines community has come together in this group, and they're sharing both things that they've set aside in abundance that they've bought or that they have, and then people are also mentioning things that they don't have, that they lack or that they need. And in this exchange of communication, it requires a few things. One, for the person who's in need, they've got to be able to just humble themselves and say, guys, I have something that I need. And for the other person on the other side of that coin, they need to be so full of trust that God is going to take care of them that they look at what they have and they set aside some for somebody else. This is a great way that you can be in a position ready to serve somebody, being faithful in service. So it may be that you have a phone call with your group today or your friends or your family, and they go, no, we're good. That's what happened to me. I went across to my neighbor's house. I said, hey, if you guys need anything, let me know. I was hoping he was going to give me some grand list, and I would come like fully prepared. I would blow his mind and be like, Jesus, He comes, He gives, He serves, He supplies. But he was like, no, we're good. So I'm just waiting diligently and praying that God would show me who it is that's got needs. And it's interesting. We went onto the Facebook page, and instantly I was able to engage with some people where Fallon and I said, hey, we can meet this need. So think about ways that you can be faithful in service. This will show everybody in a season when everybody is freaking out or people think that there's not enough. It'll show people that God is able to answer prayers, and it can happen through your act of service. The third one is to be faithful in generosity. And this looks like a different couple ways and a different couple things. I've been challenged myself, and I was talking to John and Nick and some of the other guys that we're in community together often, that even in the uncertainty of what it is that we would or wouldn't be making income-wise, we do realize that every dollar that we get, even if it's not normal, we tithe on that because it's our first fruit back to God, saying, thank you just for this much. So honestly, one of the greatest and easiest ways that you can be faithful in generosity is to continue to say, God, I'm going to trust you even in this uncertainty with the first fruits of whatever it is that we've got coming in right now. And it could be by percent. It could be just a specified amount. We do 10% in my family. We've done it since I can remember. But I want to encourage you a really simple way that you can do that. You can just log into the app. You can sign up for a recurring act of generosity, and you just say to Jesus, and really the enemy, you say it most to your uncertainty, I'm not allowing you to get the best of me. And I'm going to trust that whatever God has put in front of me, that he's going to get back 10% or a tithe, because I do trust that what he's providing for me is good and it's from him. Other ways that you can be generous and sacrificial is just by thinking about what it is that you want to hold on to and asking God for what percent or what amount of that should you actually release. I know a ton of us have been seeing all over Instagram and all over Facebook people who have just been stockpiling things like toilet paper and hand sanitizer and masks that we know don't even work. But what you can do is just go look at your closet, and if you have like 5 months worth of toilet paper, first I'm going to say you might have like a bowel problem if you use 5 months worth of toilet paper in 1 month. But two, what percentage of that could you set aside for maybe your neighbors and for your community, just to ensure that they too have enough of whatever it is maybe that they'd be lacking? So just 3 really simple ways that you can discuss with whoever God's got you in community with right now. How do we be faithful in prayer? How do we be faithful in service? And how do we be faithful in generosity? I hope that you get some great conversation out of this, and be looking for the next video when we talk about what you can be talking about next with your community, the same way I'm talking with my community about these same very things. I love you guys. I'll talk to you soon.